You've been lied to. And I don't mean the little white lies like you can still eat that expired yogurt or the mailman definitely didn't see you in your bathrobe. No, I'm talking about the big lie. The one that's been whispered in doctors' offices, shouted from fitness magazines, and echoed by well-meaning neighbors for decades. The lie that says, slow down, take it easy. Your body is made of glass now. If you are over 60, you've heard it 1,000 times. Be careful, don't strain yourself. At your age, the last thing you want to do is that. Well, I'm here to tell you that the very thing they've been telling you to avoid, the thing they've labeled as reckless, dangerous, even foolish, might just be the single most powerful tool you have to add not just years to your life, but life to your years. I'm talking about the squat. Wait, don't click away. I know what you're thinking. You're picturing a 22-year-old in spandex with a barbell across their back, grunting in front of a mirror. You're feeling that twinge in your knee just from watching them. You're thinking, that's dangerous. That's for young people. That's how you end up in the ER with a story the grandkids laugh about at Thanksgiving. I understand. I really do. Because for years, that's exactly what we were all taught. The squat was the enemy of aging knees, the villain of the lower back, the fast track to a hip replacement. But what if I told you that the opposite is true? What if I told you that the inability to perform a simple squat, just getting low to the ground and standing back up, is one of the strongest predictors of an early death? There's a study, a real one. It came out of Brazil in 2014, but the results shook the global medical community. Researchers developed the sitting-rising test. They followed over 2,000 adults for more than a decade. And what they found was startling. People who needed to use a hand or a knee to get up off the floor were nearly 7 times more likely to die within the next 6 years than those who could do it smoothly. Let that sink in. 7 times. It wasn't about how fast you could run a marathon. It wasn't about how much weight you could bench press. It was about one fundamental, primal movement. The ability to lower your body to the ground and stand back up. The squat. Think back. When you were a kid, you'd drop to the ground to look at an ant, then pop back up like it was nothing. In your 20s, you'd squat down to tie your shoe without a second thought. Somewhere along the way, you stopped. Maybe it was a twinge in your knee. Maybe a doctor told you to baby that joint. And slowly, quietly, that loss of movement started a chain reaction. When you stop squatting, you don't protect your knees. You betray them. The knee is not a hinge made of glass. It's a joint that craves movement. It's surrounded by muscles, the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes, that act as its natural shock absorbers. When you stop squatting, those muscles atrophy. They get weak. And suddenly your knee joint is left to take all the force of walking, climbing stairs, getting out of the car, all by itself, with no support system. That's when it starts to hurt. That's when the doctor says, well, it's just wear and tear. It's not wear and tear. It's neglect. Now, I'm not a madman. I'm not telling you to run out to your garage, find the heaviest thing you own, put it on your back, and try to touch your ankles. That would be dangerous. But that's not what this is about. This is about reclaiming what is rightfully yours. The ability to get down on the floor to play with your great-grandchildren without feeling a wave of panic. The ability to garden without using a stool. The ability to pick up a dropped grocery bag without looking for something to hold on to. That is freedom. And that freedom is built on one thing, the squat. I want to share a quick story. A few years ago, a woman named Margaret came to me. She was 74. She used a cane to get around her own house. Her doctor had told her her knees were bone on bone and that she should avoid squatting. She'd stopped going to her granddaughter's soccer games because the walk from the parking lot was too daunting. We started with something even simpler than a chair, just shifting her weight at the kitchen counter. Then we moved to shallow bends. She was skeptical. She said, "This feels like nothing." I told her, "We're not training your legs. We're training your brain to trust your body again." 3 months later, she sent me a picture from the soccer field. She was standing on the sideline, no cane, with the biggest smile. Margaret didn't do anything extraordinary. She did the ordinary, consistently. So, how do we do this safely? How do we take something labeled dangerous and turn it into the safest investment you can make in your future. We start where you are. If you've never done this before, or if it's been decades, we begin with the chair. Find a sturdy chair, not one on wheels, and place it behind you. Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart. Hold on to the kitchen counter or the back of another chair if you need to. Now, you're going to send your hips back, like you're reaching for a seat that's just slightly too far behind you. Keep your chest up. Keep your heels flat on the floor. And you're going to lower yourself until you just barely touch the seat of the chair. Then, you're going to press through your heels, not your toes, and stand back up. That's it. That's the movement. It doesn't look like the spandex-wearing grunter in the gym. It looks like a human being reclaiming their body. Do 5 of those tomorrow morning. Just 5. If that feels stable, the next day, do 6. Over the next few weeks, you'll notice something. The chair becomes less of a safety net and more of a formality. You'll find yourself hovering for a second before you sit down. You'll feel the muscles in the back of your legs waking up. You'll feel a spring in your step that you thought you'd lost. And then, one day, you'll be in the garden, or playing with a child, or just reaching for a book on a low shelf, and you'll lower yourself down, and you'll stand back up, without thinking, without pain, without panic, and you'll realize that you just did it. You just performed the movement that the world told you was too dangerous, and you'll feel something you might have forgotten you were allowed to feel. You'll feel strong. Now, here is the catch. Your body has been listening to the lie for a long time. So when you start, there will be a voice, a loud, anxious voice, that will tell you to stop. That voice is not your friend. That voice is fear dressed up as wisdom. Your true friend is consistency. 5 squats a day, every day, for a month, will do more for your longevity than a $1,000 treadmill that becomes a coat rack. This is not about intensity. It's about reminding your nervous system that you are still capable of being a mobile, independent human being. And if you're thinking, it's too late for me, I've already lost too much ground, let me stop you. The human body responds to what you ask of it. If you ask it to sit in a recliner all day, it will oblige. But if you ask it to stand up from a chair a few times a day, it will begin to rebuild. I've seen it happen in people in their 80s. The body doesn't care about your age. It cares about what you do with it today. Before you start, I have to give you one piece of honesty. If you have a specific injury, a recent surgery, or a condition that your doctor has explicitly told you to avoid certain movements, you need to have this conversation with them first. Show them this video. Tell them you're not trying to break a world record, you're trying to keep your independence. A good doctor, a good physical therapist, will help you adapt this. Because the goal isn't to prove anything. The goal is to stay out of the nursing home. The goal is to walk your daughter down the aisle without a cane. That is the goal. So here is my call to action. It's not complicated. It's not expensive. It doesn't require a gym membership or special shoes. Tomorrow morning, after you brush your teeth, before you pour your coffee, find a sturdy chair. Place it in the kitchen where you have a counter or a wall nearby. And you are going to do 3 get-ups. That's it. Just 3. Sit down in the chair, stand up. Sit down, stand up. Sit down, stand up. Do it with control. Keep your heels down. And as you stand up, imagine you are pushing the entire world away from you. Do that for 3 days. On the 4th day, do 5. And then come back here. Come back to this video, scroll down to the comments, and tell me how you feel. Tell me that your knees didn't explode. Tell me that you stood up a little straighter when you walked to the mailbox. Tell me that the fear has started to loosen its grip. Because this is not about a dangerous exercise. The dangerous exercise is the one you don't do. The dangerous choice is to surrender your mobility before you have to. The dangerous thing is to spend your golden years shrinking when you were built to stand tall. You have more time left than you think. And more power than you know. It starts tomorrow. 3 stands from a chair. That's the first step to proving that the lie was wrong. I'll be waiting to hear how it goes.